With 10 races left until the chase begins, where you guys kind of add on what you think might be biggest surprises, disappointments, maybe, guys that make it in, guys that don't. Where are we feeling like we're out on the Cup side?
I mean, there's a handful of guys. I think Suarez has to take the cake as the biggest surprise, right? I mean, he's sitting now 8th in points. I don't think anybody would even put him in the playoffs. I mean, you put maybe a fringe playoff guy coming into the year, and here he is sitting well inside the top 10, pretty decent cushion back to the playoff cut line, about 100 points now, it looks like almost. So, that's for me, that's the biggest surprise. But, Tommy, like, what do you look at looking at that list?
Yeah, I mean, Ross is probably the biggest disappointment, right? I mean, because how much of a fighter he is, you would just
he'd have been a playoff guy for I think everybody going into the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a disappointment. I think Erik Jones is a surprise now. They're coming on at the right time.
Yep.
Held on in the beginning, and now they're really fast. But again, we have a lot of tracks that he's not very good at, right? So we'll see what happens there. And I know we talked about the O'Reillys. Points in that area, but it's just as tough.
I'm gonna make you pick here in a minute, but I want to talk about surprises first. I'm gonna let you pick the last 3 guys in.
Oh man!
But what stands out to you when you look at these standings?
You guys both nailed my 2. Preseason, I would have said Suarez is my biggest surprise. Just knowing where that car was last year, knowing where he was last year. He was 28th in points at this point last year, and obviously now he's 8th and has won a race, and he's contending every week. And after we got started, Erik Jones was one of my other surprises. Even though he's only 7 spots better than he was last year at this time in points, he's 60-some points higher than he was. Obviously trending in the right direction. And I think people don't give Erik the credit for how good of a race car driver he really is. Mm-hmm. He sort of got pushed out at Gibbs when he lost his ride there, and he's made a good home where he is. But I think that team as a whole is going to start surprising everybody on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I look at, for surprises, I think Erik and Daniel probably stand out the most. But there's other guys. A surprise for me is AJ. I mean, to be 21st in points with the lack of information they have is incredibly impressive. No information, essentially. That's really impressive. And we talk about him week in, week out. Stenhouse. The fact that they're sitting ahead of somebody, I mean, he's ahead of Ross in points. Like, comparing what they have versus what Trackhouse has, I mean, those guys are really exceeding expectations, I got to think.
They are. And, again, Magic Mike and Ricky, they do a very good job managing their race only, right? I mean, Ricky got off the plane yesterday, and we were walking into the thing. I said, "How was your day?" It's like, man, it was okay at times, right? It was like, I'm a half a second, like you talked about, I'm a half a second faster than the 35, and whoever I get to him, I can't do nothing with him. It's aggravating. I'm like, yeah, but you guys, I had a good day, right? Him, like you said, AJ, I would, with everything that's going on with Spire, I'm a little disappointed in McDowell. Because he is the leader of that whole deal. The one big change I think they made that really helped the 7 car was backing down on Sparks' job titles, everything that he was doing at Spire. Now he's just concentrating on crew chiefing, which I think helped that car, and probably would have helped that car with the other 2 drivers that were in it before him, but he had just so much on his plate that he really probably couldn't concentrate on how hard a crew chief's job is right now. Yep. So I think that's what's really helping Suarez. Hocevar, we knew from last year he was going to be, in there if he don't screw up because he's fast all the time. Right. Sucks about Priest the last month because he was heading in the right direction. Everything he was doing, from last year leading now he's just taking a dump, man. It's terrible what's happening there, and hopefully he can rebound. But
If you look at the cutoff line now, where you're looking from. Obviously, we're not safe. Bubba's not. We're 30 something up, but it's going to be tight, and I think the next 2 weeks are going to flip this thing on its head because SVG is going to skyrocket. He's going to go. We assume performs like he has been performing. He's going to get to the top 10 or close to it at least. Then it's going to be how much does he bleed back from there. But for me, if I was picking 3 guys right now, you mentioned Priest. I feel like he's like I think looking at speed right now, SVG I think gets in because he's going to build such a gap on the cut line the next 2 weeks, and he's not going to bleed as much as he has in the past because we've seen the last month or so he's been much better on ovals.
Yeah, but if something happens like yesterday,
Yeah, I mean, shit could happen, but if just based on speed, the thing that worries me, I want to put Erik in there, and I think he has a speed. Again, he's a buddy of mine. I want to see him do well, and I want to see him make this playoff because he deserves it. But he's going to bleed the next 2 weeks a little bit, and now when you bleed the next 2 weeks. Now we go to Chicago, and you're going to be digging your way out of Group 1 qualifying, Group 1 practice, early qualifying probably.
Yep.
Now can you regain the momentum you've got right now?
And that's what what helped Shane for a couple of weeks after the road course, right? He got into the second group of qualifying, qualified up front, ran up front, and they can do their own thing. Right. Now they're struggling again because they gradually worked their way back into